I am your WWDC attendant for the year here with your last minute leaks. It is less than 24 hours away. It is going to be a heartbreaking event if what we're talking about today is true, because leaks, as much as they hype us up, they can also tear us right back down. I'm going over the good, the bad, and the ugly today for the last minute leaks for WWDC, and it is a roller coaster if I've ever seen one. So as they say, fasten your seatbelts, because you may be ejected from the cart if things get out of control. I want to help the channel out. Does mean a lot to me personally, guys. To me personally. If you drop a like down below and hit subscribe for more so you stay up to date on the latest Apple news. All right, guys, let's just jump into the ugly stuff first. No hardware at WWDC. I know. Isn't that ridiculous? We've been talking about for the past months that there's going to be new hardware, whether it's AirPods Studio or a new iMac or a new Mac of some kind or AirTags. It's not coming. Apparently it's just not coming after all of that. And it appears that this was a somewhat last minute decision. But I don't get this one, because that would suggest that Apple's not having a hardware event until, let's do some math here, September. So 9 months of the calendar year, Apple just doesn't have an event for hardware? When have they ever done that before? And if all this hardware is in the works, why would you not announce these things at the very least at an event where literally the entire world is watching? Because there's no question that less people hear about things when Apple does a press release. Like, I think the iPhone SE would have been such a bigger launch for Apple if they held an event. Now, obviously, I'm not saying get people together with the virus. I'm saying if Apple simply held something more formal than an update on their website. So color me really skeptical here. I would not be surprised if this was a ploy at the last second to see how quickly Apple can spit out some internal info and try to track down the sources. Jon Prosser himself has said Apple's trying to do this. They'll put out tidbits of information about maybe like salary raises on a certain team and try to see if anybody leaks that info out. And if there's one thing that a fanboy is gonna fall for right now, it's that no new hardware is coming. So that's all I'm saying about that. I don't have any empirical data to tell you that there's gonna be hardware. It just doesn't feel right if you think about it. Why would they waste this opportunity? That's really all the ugly and bad stuff. It's just like, wow, come on, no new hardware. That was the one part of the event I was really excited for, considering that iOS 14, which we're talking about next, still is not materializing into this substantial update. Guys, it's gonna be an S year. Don't expect to be blown away. This one again coming courtesy of Jon Prosser. This is gonna be wild if it happens, and there is gonna be a part of me that dies inside with this, that iOS is gonna be renamed to iPhone OS. I know it makes sense, guys, but here at iUpdate, we're not always about just the logical. We're here to talk about the emotion and things. So let's look at both arguments. Logically here, all right, iPadOS, macOS, watchOS, tvOS. Which one doesn't fit in? Yeah, it's clear it's iOS. It's the outlier here. On the flip side of the argument though, iOS has so much recognition, and it's very simple and it's very straightforward, and it's gotten to the point where like everybody who uses an iPhone knows what the iOS update is. If we change it to iPhone OS, to me that not only signals a huge shift in direction for the platform, which was what iOS 4 was after it used to be iPhone OS 3, apparently iOS 14 is just gonna be a really small update, and like to change it now when you're not changing much, that's gonna be like, come on. Like iPadOS was a separation from iOS. What is iOS 14 doing this year that deserves the name change? I'm also a little skeptical on this one, just because while it fits in, I don't see any problem with the name in the first place. Let me know what you guys think. Are you team iOS? Are you team iPhone OS? And following that, 9to5Mac revealed an exclusive about the podcast app the other day, not actually from the iOS 14 code. So this is something they actually learned from sources. The podcast application is gonna be getting a significant revamp, which they basically have to do considering that Spotify and YouTube for podcasting just continue to skyrocket in popularity. Just like in Apple Music, you know how there's a For You page that gives you personalized recommendations based on what the software thinks you like? You're gonna be getting that in podcasts as well, which is awesome because discovering podcasts, I would say, is one of the hardest things to do. It's not like music. I feel like just generally finding something really good is tough. So if Apple can analyze that data on device and then give you better recommendations, I'm all for it. That's fantastic. More exciting than that though is social features. So you'll be able to follow what podcasts your friends are listening to. Also, again, like Apple Music, the thing is the Apple Music social features aren't very good. Finding people is really challenging. The rotation of what people listen to, it just doesn't feel as instant. Like on Spotify, you can see right now what your friends are listening to. And it's fun to like click in and listen to something at the same time. And then finally, just like in the Apple TV app, how if you buy something specifically through there, you can offer exclusive bonus content like inside of the Apple TV app, you'll be able to do the same thing in podcasts now. And Mark Gurman, who's known to share a ton of stuff ahead of events, shared on Twitter today a couple of interesting new features for Safari, including a guest mode and improved tabs along with voice search. Now, we already heard about translation, and Mark made it clear that he doesn't think that these are for sure coming in the iOS 14 update very, very soon, along with saying he doesn't think it's going to be called iPhone OS in the future. But these are features apparently in development. They might drop for iOS 14 in Safari. They might be delayed a little. The only other thing I saw that I thought was pretty interesting is that Mark Gurman tweeted that he is most excited for the tvOS update. And, looking forward to some other stuff as well. But very clearly here, never expected iOS 14 to be a big update. If this is not confirmation from the most popular Apple leaker of all time, I think we can say that without much hesitation. Yeah, don't get your hopes up too much for this year. iPadOS is supposed to be more significant. I'm just fascinated at this point to see what Apple's going to work on. What are going to be the big adjustments, because there has been a lot of influx. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Glug glug. Drink some water? Why does it take you so long when you drink water to talk in between? That's really annoying. Anyway, guys, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe. Happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Thank you so much for everybody that donated to my fundraiser. We donated over $1,200. That is amazing to the NAACP, and I just feel good knowing that we have a community where we can do social good and promote things like civil rights, which are still not properly defended for everybody in the world. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you all in my next video when I talk to you next. iOS 14. We're going to have it on our devices.